Well, the Beijing Winter Games begin in less than 2 weeks' time, and preparations for the opening ceremony, they are kicking into gear. And here's a taste of what's happening right now as fireworks light up the night sky during rehearsals, this at the National Stadium in Beijing. Teams of dancers and performers practicing their routines in the lead up to the February 4th event. There will be a reduced number of performers taking part, and this is because of pandemic concerns. As for the Olympic and Paralympic villages, they are welcoming their first residents as delegates from 20 countries, including Canada, checked in earlier today. Now, that said, those attending the Olympic Games in Beijing can expect frequent testing for COVID-19, and we have been talking about the testing protocols for athletes, coaches, and media here on News Network. And for the latest, let's go right now to Devin Haru of CBC Sports. Nice to see you, Devin. So talk to us about the protocols now in place. What are we hearing?
Good afternoon, Michael. It's great to be speaking to you. A substantial development in the last number of hours. We're now learning that the threshold to produce a negative test upon arriving at the airport in China has been lowered. Now, I'm going to try and keep this really simple because I've learned a lot about cycle threshold numbers over these last number of days. That CT value in China was very high. It was set at 40. For context, health authorities in Canada, pro leagues, they set theirs at anywhere from 30 to 35. The higher the number, the less infectious you are. So, for an athlete who has recently tested positive, it was proving to be difficult to produce a negative test upon arrival. Now that number has been lowered. We know that dozens of Canadian athletes have tested positive for COVID over the last month. So this is welcomed news for them because, Michael, I can tell you I've received a number of phone calls from athletes very concerned about what awaited them at the airport. Now they're lowering that threshold. Big news today.
Okay, so lowering the threshold, it has been a bit of controversy already, but we should point out that this issue has affected you personally and even your plans to cover the Games.
Certainly, and I won't be going to Beijing. In fact, I wrote a piece just a couple of days ago explaining my specific situation. On Christmas, I tested positive for COVID. Since then, Michael, I've had these intermittent positive and negative tests. And without that certainty of knowing and negative tests, and without that certainty of knowing that I was going to produce a negative result in China, I'm no longer going. In fact, any CBC personnel who tested positive within the last 30 days no longer going to Beijing to cover the Games, and we know other broadcasters have pulled their teams, NBC, ESPN. So this is having a huge domino effect. What this lower threshold means, we don't know because these are early days.
So what can we expect then from your Beijing 2022 coverage?
Well, certainly, Michael, anyone who's followed me at the last couple of games, I've urged them on to stay up throughout the night with me because of the time zone. I'm going to be giving the same commitment and level of coverage I always had here in Toronto. And I can also tell you the Queen of Curling, Colleen Jones, and I will have that curling show every night at 7 p.m. Eastern for all the curling. But I'll be live tweeting all of the exceptional performances by our Canadian athletes. Won't be on the ground, won't be that front row seat Canadians are used to getting from me, but I'll do my best here in Toronto to provide all the compelling stories from the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics.
Okay, Devin, thank you for that, Devin Haru.